Namaste. Hi, I'm Allen McConnell, and along with Jill Korash, we are the two instructors for this year's EE class in India, and we're super excited to have you joining us on the course this year. Jill and I taught the class last year, and this is my third consecutive year in the India class. So we're really excited to go back and to really share with you a lot of the great experiences we've had over the last couple years in this relatively young class that I think has got a lot to offer, especially for people who are interested in thinking about sort of the interconnections between species, deities, and communities. Our partner AERF in the Western Ghats does amazing work. They are working with a number of different villages in terms of protecting these sacred groves, which are these old temples that are embedded in these old growth forest. And as we'll see, these efforts, both in terms of preserving the temples and the adjacent land, as well as working and engaging with the community, is really quite important for maintaining species diversity and keeping large parcels of land intact rather than being developed. So I think you'll get a lot out of the class, not only in terms of the nature component, but thinking about how people engage communities, and also kind of dealing with the interface of modernity and kind of older cultures. It's a really fascinating place to visit. I think you'll really enjoy it. In this video, what I briefly want to do is tell you a little bit about myself and answer a few of the questions that were in the assignment for the introductions, and I encourage you to do the same. You can post a photo of yourself for nature, or if you want, you can shoot a video like this as well, and I've got my laptop back here to show you a few photos in a second. Just briefly to give you a little bit of background on myself, I am a social psychologist, so I'm actually a professor of psychology here at Miami, so this is my office here in Oxford. So I'm coming at this class in a bit of a different way than many of you probably will. So I'm not a K through 12 educator. I don't have a background in biology or botany or the natural sciences. I'm a social scientist. But the things that I'm really interested in studying is kind of thinking about how the self interconnects with other entities and how that affects our health and well-being. So some of the research in my lab, we have studied things like thinking about how the self connects to families, how people develop relationships with pets, and in terms of the environmental space, I've been pursuing research thinking about how the self is connected to nature and how the self is connected to communities. So that's obviously really central for things like community-based conservation, and also really central for things like a sense of place and thinking about how people experience things like awe and other sorts of emotional experiences in nature that we know is really predictive of being connected with nature and engaging in pro-social action. So although my primary area is social psychology, I've been having an ongoing developing set of interest in both research and in teaching in environmental issues. For the past 4 years, I've taught a class, an undergraduate class in the capstone of the psychology of conservation, and that's been a lot of fun. So we've been tackling issues such as global warming and climate change, waste management, and also community-based conservation in that class as well. So I'm hoping that I can bring a lot to the table that maybe is not so common in a lot of the EE classes. And at the same time, I'm really looking forward to the opportunity to learn a lot from you guys. You have so much expertise and you have so many diverse backgrounds. And as you already probably know, that's what makes EE such an exciting place to be. So anyway, to get to just a little bit of background, one thing that the assignment asked for you to do was to provide a photo of you recently in nature. So I didn't really think long and hard about this, but I thought I'd provide you with a photo. This is me at Mount Hood last summer. I love the Northwest. The Pacific Northwest is one of my favorite places. I really like the ability to be in these really well-maintained places, a lot of forest, if you go along the Cascades and places like that, or even along coastal Oregon or Northern California or Washington State. I just find the Northwest to really be a place where you can really quickly get from a city like Portland or Seattle and get out into nature and be really in a spot that's quiet and remote and beautiful. It's one of my favorite places to visit in the United States. So that's a photo of me in place. I thought I'd show you another photo. This was Jill and I last year. So this was taken in the Awadi Valley. So basically this is an area that we'll be visiting this year in our trip. And I thought I'd show you a few photos from India as well, just to kind of give you a flavor of what's to come. So I think when people think about India, this is typically what they think about. It's people like visiting the Taj Mahal and things like that. But we're not going to touristy India. We're going to the Western Ghats. So this is an overlook basically overlooking the Western Ghats. So as you can see here, it's very lush, it's very green, and it's very moist. We go during a pretty wet season. We're going a little bit earlier this year, so we're hoping to avoid some of the heavy monsoons, but it is a place where there'll be a lot of moisture and you will get wet on this ride, no doubt about it. As you can see here, these are some waterfalls, just everywhere in these mountain ranges. With all this precipitation, you basically have waterfalls everywhere. And as you can see here, really lush valleys. So here you can see rice paddies and things like that. You can see a temple in the distance. And basically, there's a lot of nature out here. A lot of it's kind of subtle, so you're not going to see tigers running around and things like that. But you'll see the amphibians here, like this tree frog that was just sitting out near one of the places we were staying last year. There's a hornbill there in the trees. Hornbills are pretty plentiful, and they play a really important role in terms of seed dispersals and things like that. But one of the major attractions is going to be the temples. So we're going to see a variety of different temples. So here's a Shiva temple. The temples range in age from about 100 years up to like 1,000 years, and these are active temples. So when we go to these places, there will be priests there. There'll be people engaging in puja and various sorts of spiritual rites. So these are not only really important for maintaining old growth forest, but these temples are active places that are really central to the community. So we're going to get to visit a lot of places, learn a lot about cultures, and learn a lot about Hindu thinking and things of that nature. And again, these temples are embedded in these amazing spots. So this is one of the temples that we'll be visiting that's just built into a watershed. So it actually has a stream that's coming downhill from a really lush forest, and the water is just integrated into the temple. So basically, that's a little bit of preview of what's coming up here in the class. We're super excited to have you join us. Jill and I have known each other for years. We love working together. She's just like the best. If you've had any opportunities to work with her, she's just a fabulous person. She knows more about EE and our programs than practically anyone. So I think together we're really looking forward to returning to India this year and sharing all these great experiences with you. So please complete the assignment. Again, I'd encourage you to shoot a video, leave a photo, make it as interactive as possible so we get a better sense of who you are. And again, welcome to the class. Namaste, and we'll see you soon. Take care.